If you're serious about protecting your mental and financial health, you need to start protecting your circle. Some people will drain your peace and your pockets, and the worst part, you might not even notice it's happening. Your mindset is everything. Your financial habits has everything to do with it as well. And if the people around you aren't aligned with growth, they're just keeping you stuck. So today I'm breaking down 6 types of people you have to avoid if you want to build real wealth, keep your peace, and stay focused on your goals. And listen, I'm not saying cut everyone off, but if you see yourself constantly surrounded by these types of people, you need to set some serious boundaries. So let's get into it. All right, let's start with the first type that can limit your growth. This one is pretty dangerous. We live in an era where information is everywhere, yet some people only read from one source. They don't challenge their thinking, they don't seek out other perspectives, and they refuse to grow. And why does this matter for your financial and mental health? Well, because if you only get your information from one place, you limit your potential. Think about it. How do you make good financial decisions? By learning, researching, analyzing different strategies. Remember back in elementary school when we did science projects, we had to come up with a problem to solve. We would create an educated guess or hypothesis, and then we would prove whether or not our hypothesis was correct. It required research, trial and error. It had multiple attempts even. So if you only listen to one influencer or one news channel or one social media page, you're putting yourself in a box. And this behavior is a classic example of confirmation bias. And this is a psychological phenomenon where people, including us, we favor information that confirms our existing beliefs. Research shows that confirmation bias can really limit our ability to make well-informed financial decisions. And this is how you get people whose views are more and more narrow as they get older. And the most successful people, they're always expanding their minds. They're reading books, they're listening to multiple experts, and they challenge their own beliefs. See, they try new things, and if it doesn't work, they move on to something else. Surround yourself with people who do the same. Now let's look at some practical ways to stay away from people who only read from one source. You could expose yourself to multiple perspectives. So read books, listen to podcasts, check out multiple news sources. You could follow diverse financial experts to build a well-rounded understanding of wealth building. I guarantee you, there are way more financial experts with actual legitimate experience than the ones that are popular on TV networks. Another thing you could do is encourage open-minded discussions. If someone is stuck in one mindset, challenge them respectfully just by introducing new ideas. And if they refuse to learn, that's on them. Just limit conversations going forward. But it's easier now than ever before to say, hey, there's actually a video I saw on this perspective, so maybe you should take a look, and you would follow up with them to see what they thought about it after watching. Now, we talked about some of the dangers of people with one-sided views. Let's shift our focus to another common mistake, or the type of person that we want to stay away from, and that's complainers. These are people who only focus on what they don't have. They're always talking about how broke they are, or how lucky other people are, or how the system is rigged against them. And I'm not saying they're entirely wrong. In fact, most of the time, they're actually right. The financial trauma is deeply rooted, and you'll quickly find that we're all in different stages of grief and healing. And while some people are moving on with their scars, there are other people who have wounds that are fresh and haven't healed yet. So you just have to pick up on that sign, or multiple signs, and figure out how you want to operate. This pattern aligns with social comparison theory. And this is by Leon Festinger, which explains that we evaluate ourselves based on comparisons with others. Constant negative comparisons can contribute to stress and even depression, which can in turn impact your financial decisions. You can still acknowledge the problems of the past while taking proactive steps towards a better future. And there comes a point where you realize that complaining about a problem won't make it go away. You still have to address it. Wealth and success start with your mindset. If you constantly surround yourself with people who complain, make excuses, and blame the world for their problems, you're going to start doing the same. And when you look at people who are successful, they don't sit around crying about what they don't have. They focus on solutions, they take action, and create opportunities. That's the energy you have to be around. Let's break it down with some practical tips though. So you can always redirect negative conversations. If someone is regularly complaining about something that they don't have, shift the conversation and say, okay, now what steps can we take to change that? If they don't want to think positively, just disengage from there. Because I've noticed that if you are naturally a positive person, negative people don't really want to be around you. And sometimes that's okay. Another thing you can do is surround yourself with solution-oriented people. If you're in a group where people are just stuck in a lack mentality, find a circle that focuses on solutions, strategies, self-improvement. I've seen comment sections that are more encouraging and positive than in-person conversations with people. It's mind-blowing at times. With that in mind, let's talk about the next type of person you should more than likely avoid. And that's people who don't save. They always find a way to say, I'll start saving next month, but somehow next month never comes. They spend everything they make, they live paycheck to paycheck, and when an emergency hits, they panic, okay? And here's why you have to be careful of these people. They often start to lean on you when things go wrong. Their lack of discipline can become your problem, and it's going to start off small and then it grows larger. It might start off as borrowing $50, then 100, and suddenly you become their emergency fund that they never built for themselves. You do not want to be someone else's financial cushion or even financial bed, especially when they refuse to make better decisions. Save yourself from the stress and just keep your distance from people who either have no plan or aren't trying to plan. Think of it like this. If you're on a plane and the cabin pressure drops, you're supposed to put on your oxygen mask first before assisting others. Don't stop in the middle of putting on your mask to help someone else. And this is pure practicality. And some additional ways to help you, just set clear financial boundaries. If a friend or family member is regularly asking for money because they refuse to save, decide on a specific cap or stop bailing them out altogether. Instead, give financial advice or offer some good resources. But giving cash, it fixes the immediate problem, but it doesn't address the underlying issue. Another thing you can do is just be mindful of group spending habits, because groupthink is real. And if your circle of friends pressures you into reckless spending, like splurging at the nightclub or lavish trips or constant eating out, just be firm about your budget and suggest some budget-friendly options. And now that we've talked about how the lack of saving can hurt you, let's talk about another type of person that really can derail your progress. So stay away from people who are impulsive. These are folks who don't think before they act. They just buy things they can't afford just because they're on sale, or they'd rather spend hours in line for something that's free without considering their time. Or they might even jump into business deals without doing research. They see something go viral and then they feel compelled to buy it immediately. They are acting from emotion instead of using strategy. And these are the people who tend to say, oh, it's only $5 or it's only $10, but those start to add up, and you have to figure out a way to make sure that these people aren't too close, okay? Because somehow this behavior will start to influence you, trust me. Research in behavioral economics shows that impulsivity just significantly increases the likelihood of making poor financial decisions because it's driven by emotion versus logic. And a study from the Journal of Consumer Research Notes says that impulsive behavior can really be contagious in social settings. So here are some ways that are really practical that you can use. Keep your financial goals visible. So not just for you, but so that other people can see, and this helps them too, because it sets up that boundary. You can also just remember your why, the whole reason why you're doing what you're doing with your finances. Another thing you can do is decline any invitations for impulse spending. So shopping sprees, risky financial ventures. Just practice saying, no, not this time. I'm focusing on my financial goals. And those goals should be written and kept somewhere where you see them daily. You could also just straight up say no thanks. I don't have money in my budget for that. And this makes it clear that you do have money, but you have intention for your dollars. Another person we need to explore. Now let's take a look at another person that's going to hold you back. These are people who only save. These individuals, you may find that they're keeping all of their money in a checking account. They might even be hiding it under a mattress. But what they don't realize is that inflation is slowly eating away the value of their money. And let's put it in perspective. If you saved $10,000, and this was 10 years ago in 2015, and you never touched it, that money has lost value because the prices of everything has gone up. So what you could afford with that $10,000 in 2015, you can't buy in 2025. With inflation at about 2 or 3% on average each year, that $10,000 needs to be $13,403 today to maintain its purchasing power. So I say all of this to say investing is how you really keep up with inflation and how you really build wealth. If you're constantly around someone who only saves and never takes the next step, then they're going to make you feel like investing is actually too risky or is too complicated. Do not let that fear hold you back. Your money has to work for you. It cannot just sit idle. Here are some practical steps that you can use to just move forward. Surround yourself with wealth builders. Engage in conversations with people who understand investing, real estate, business. I mean, these people, you'll start to notice they think differently and they solve problems creatively and they analyze situations from multiple angles. Another thing you can do is limit financial conversations with extreme savers. If they're constantly discouraging you from investing because they think it's too risky, focus on proven sources and just continue to educate yourself about wealth building. You can even share those resources with them. Finally, let's address one last group that's going to stifle your growth, and that's people who don't invest. If you're hanging around people who refuse to invest, you're going to start believing that playing it safe forever is the only way, and that's completely false. Every wealthy person you look and admire, they take calculated risks. They learn about assets. They invest in things that grow over time. These are strategies that the wealthy have. When people say investing is too risky, they're really just risking their entire financial future by doing nothing. Because when we look at investments like the S&P 500, it has delivered an average return of about 7 to 10% over the long term, and that's adjusted for inflation. And that 7 to 10% outpaces inflation itself. So remember, if you're not invested, you're losing. Here are a couple ways you can foster a growth-focused mindset. Find a community of investors. Just join groups or follow financial educators, especially those who teach rather than just show you all their trades. Their insights will spark your curiosity and they're going to deepen your investor mindset, not trading mindset. You could also lead by example. Instead of arguing with those who refuse to invest, show them your progress. Over time, your results may inspire that same curiosity in them, or at the least reinforce that it's time for them to move on and start investing. At the end of the day, your circle is either pushing you forward or holding you back. If you want to build wealth and protect your mental peace, start setting these boundaries now. You have momentum. It's time to guard it. Remember, knowing who to avoid is just one step. The biggest mistake is not investing enough in yourself. So if you're still on the sidelines or you feel like you're not investing enough for your future, I break it all down in the next video. So stay tuned for that. Until next time, stay present.